Welcome to the channel. I'm Technical Brad. Well, I had a comment on one of the David Brown videos that we have out about the crankshaft seals on the David Brown engine. Now, I've got videos out on the rear main seal where we took it off and then replaced the rope seals and put it back together, but I didn't have one that I put out on the front seal for the crankshaft seal that fits into the cover that bolts onto the front of the engine. It covers up the timing gears. So I've gone back in through the archives of my David Brown stuff, and I've uncovered some videos of that process. Now this is from, very late November time, 2024. And it was the 280 hours. We'd rebuilt Brownie, we put 280 hours on it, and we took some stuff back apart that we were having issues with, just so we could do a follow-up service on it and stuff. This video you're about to see took place after the last video we released, which was the trunnion pin, and we had removed the front extension and the radiator and everything was removed from it. So the engine, the front of the engine in particular, is just right there in front. So we've got some pretty decent video of how I changed this. We're going to go into the process of changing it. I took the cover off to replace the seal. You don't have to do that. You can replace this with the cover still on the tractor or on the engine. The issue I had with mine is you've got the cover and behind it there's a plate, and both of those have gaskets that seal them. The plate gets sealed to the block, the carrier plate, and then the cover gets sealed to that plate, and it's all bolted together. Well, I was concerned that maybe it wasn't just this seal, that those gaskets could be leaking oil too, and since we had it apart, to the point that we had it apart, let's go ahead and pop those off. I had a gasket kit, lower end gasket kit that I purchased that had these gaskets in it, and so we're going to take you through the process of how I did that, the second time around. Okay, well, today we're going to remove the front pulley system off of our AD355. We still have our front housing removed here, the extension housing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this opportunity, while everything is right out here in front of us, to remove a couple of these pulleys. And the reason is, we look down in here, all this gunk we got. And yeah, that's oil too. So it looks like our seal for our crankshaft here is leaking. And so we're just going to go ahead and investigate that while we've got everything popped apart here. This is the pulley. If you have the power assist steering, you will have this pulley on here. If you have the power assist steering with the Freeman loader, you will have this pulley with that spline welded to it. And these are just 1/4 bolts that hold this on here, like so. God dang. There we go. Whew. So what we got here, we're using a V-belt around here with a pry bar up underneath to apply pressure to said V-belt to hold the pulley. And that is the bolt. Fine thread bolt, if ever there was one. That's our seal there. We got a little bit of oil inside there, which we're supposed to. That's why you have this O-ring around the washer. It seals into the groove here in the front of our crankshaft pulley. This, should just slide right out of there, like so. So as we look at the front of the cover here, this seal can be replaced. And we're talking this right around here. That can be replaced without removing the piece here. So if you did have a bad seal, front seal on your crank here, you could cut this one out or pop this one out, and then a new one presses in. And you put sealer around the outside of it, and then you just press it on there. All right, so I have decided to remove the cover here. I'm going ahead and taking the bolts out. And we'll just see if we can get in here and try to work this loose. Although she really feels like it's pretty well stuck on there. We've got two dowels. There's one down here and there's one back here. We've already passed over this one, so you just got to kind of be careful. I would say that was pretty well stuck on there. I don't think that that was an issue. So we're removing our timing gear right here. We're getting a little bit of headway on it. This is a tough thing to get off. The one down here pretty much just slides on and off the spline. You do need a gear puller to kind of slide it out. This one, it's stuck on there pretty good. So let's see it coming loose there pretty good. And there, oops, ended up dinging it anyway. All right, so we got our gears off of here. The reason we're doing this carrier plate here has a gasket that seals it to the block. And we're getting oil leakage down here, so I just decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and remove the gears. We'll remove the carrier plate. It's got 3 bolts that hold it on. This is the bearing carrier for the camshaft, so we will not have to remove it. We'll remove these 3 bolts, and then this plate will come off, and we'll clean up the block and clean everything up, and then we'll come back. Okay, so we have our cover. We're going to pop the seal out of it. Hopefully. We're going to use a socket as a mandrel. Place it in here. Busting our spring out of it here. there's your spring out of the middle of it there. That thing is really stuck in there. There we go. And here we have it. So, yeah, this was the seal where the spring goes in here. So what happens is you've got this lip around here and the spring fits into it. As we look at the new one, there again you can see the spring right there. It goes all the way around. So that makes that spring loaded. It pulls it back into its position. Very good. Now we'll just clean this up a little bit. I think I used well seal, if I remember right, when I put this thing back together, because that's what the directions said to use on it. We'll clean this out, and then it'll be a matter of pressing the new one back into it. And we will do that when we come back. We interrupt this informative video with more information. And as we look at the back of it, we have a groove kind of wore in right there. That's where the seal, you can see that shiny area there, that's where the seal makes contact with the pulley itself. It doesn't make contact with the crankshaft, it makes contact with your pulley. This is the original seal that came off of Browning. Now, my AD3 55, the David Brown AD3, is manufactured late 1966. It is about 330, the serial number, 330 away from the first serial number of January of 67. So that puts it, really close to the end of the year. As we put this on here, it doesn't fit real tight at all. Of course, it's 60 years old now, and it's stiff and has no pliability to it, so it wasn't sealing very well. But when you get your new one, and you get these in the packages, now you can buy them individually. I got it with the package, the bottom end gasket set comes with these. You want to kind of just test it and put it on there and see if you got a good tight fit. With this one has a real good tight fit. I mean, it's hanging on there real tight. So that's what you want. Sometimes you'll get these and they fit kind of loose, as we saw from the video with the valve stem seals that we had on the AD355. So you kind of want to check that. If it doesn't fit properly, like I say, you can buy these individually. Now, it has a spring in it, and I have heard that you can take this spring apart. Boy, it looks like maybe right there I've got a joint in it of some sort. I don't know how you take them apart, but I've heard you can take these apart and cut them off a little bit, make them shorter, and then put them back in here. Roll it back in there, and that's going to pull this in tighter onto your shaft here. I've never done that. I didn't do that on mine. I didn't have any issues with it. Like I say, you can test it just by putting it on there, and that's got a lot of grip on there. So that one would seal great with this particular pulley. We have this angle here, and we also have the spring on the inside. The spring goes toward the inside. That way, any oil that comes in contact with this, or any pressure that there might be, is going to push this down, versus the other way, it would push it up or out. So oil could get past here and come out of the crankcase in this case. And this will be press fitted in here. I am going to go ahead and use some of our tacky sealer on this. As we look down in there, just a nice little coat all the way around it. Now you could put it around the outside of the seal here if you wanted to, but the stuff's so tacky and it's sticky and everything, it's easier just to put it in the part you don't have to touch. And we're going to kind of lay this in here. And we're going to use a mandrel. Seems to have made it move around too much. May have to take it over to the press. It's just wanting to slide around too much on me there. So we have him in the press here. We have a giant washer with a socket to take up the slack. And we're just going to kind of push this down in there. Until it seats, which it seems like it has. Well, as we look down in here, we can see we're pretty evenly spaced all around our opening here. We go to the inside, and it looks like it has bottomed out all the way around our lip in here. So that's what we want. So yeah, the press is a much easier way to do that. It keeps it a lot more uniform going down in there and all that. So yeah, that worked out pretty good. We interrupt this informative video with more information. So this is the lower end gasket set, the bottom gasket set for the David Brown. This is 788A. This is the AD3 55, 49, and the 55. And this is not all of it. This is a percentage of it. I've used some of this. But it has all the necessary seals to do the bottom end of the engine, even remove it from the sump. But what we're interested in is these two gaskets right here. Now, these are the two that you're going to use when you remove that front cover and the carrier plate. This one, which is a thinner paper type material, oil resistant, this fits onto the block, and then the carrier plate will fit onto this. The other one, which is a thicker material, fits onto the carrier plate, and then the cover that has your front seal on it mounts onto this, and this covers up your gear for your camshaft and the gear for the crankshaft, the timing gear set. So now I think we have our plate here. We'll go ahead and do a final wipe of this. Make sure we've got no oil, particularly down around the bottom. Put it up in here. Of course, we have our two dowel pins to hold it in. And we have three bolts that also hold it on there. And we'll go ahead, we'll just go ahead and torque this down. Just double check. 12, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half. Twelve and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half. All right. Now we'll get our other parts here. We got to put our gears back on. Be the first thing we got to do here. Now I did clean off the gears, and one thing about our gears, the camshaft gear has a key in it. The cam has a key in it too. The crank has a dot right there. And the gear that fits on there has a dot right there. That dot lines up with the dot on the crankshaft, fits inside the spline. And then these two dots here, there and there, will line up with the dot right here on the camshaft. So that way you know everything is in proper timing. Now, we haven't rotated anything since we took this off, so we should be in good shape as far as that is concerned. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on here, so hopefully this will go together. Bolt. Just won't start in there. Need my hammer. Give her just a few taps. Won't quite get in there. Don't want to drive it in there too much, but You just got to get started and that's get the bolt to go on there. Unfortunately, I had to tap on it to get that to go that way. Now I'm holding this pry bar. There's 3 bolts that hold the carrier plate on there. And I'm using the head of the bolt at the back of the pry bar to keep the gear from turning. And we're just incrementally tightening it up. And I think, if I remember right, this is 40 foot-pounds. Check the book on that. Okay, that's pretty much down there now. Whew. A little bit of oil. Put on this thing here too. Oil it up a little bit. We'll take our gear. We have our dot down here. We have our dot on our crankshaft. Those 2 dots will have to line up like so. And then you want to line your camshaft. We have the dot on our camshaft is in between the 2 dots on our crank. And that, of course, is what we want. And since we did not move anything, we had these gears off of here, but we did not move anything. So therefore, we're okay. Or we should be okay, unless somebody came out here in the middle of the night and spun one of these things around. Oh. Beckley, did you do that? All right, well, we've got that torqued down to 40 foot-pounds. Now, the bolt has a hole in it right there. And that is so you can put a piece of wire in there to wire this thing down. Let's see, we're gonna go through here. So, yeah, we're kind of off there, ain't we? Well, pull the wire through. We want to take it through the bolt. Like so. And then we want to run it, pull it through here. And then we're going to do the twist. Hopefully we can tighten it up a little bit like so. Tighten that down and then we'll cut off our edges. Finish the end of it off here, bend it down so that'll hold it hopefully. That other wire was much better I put on here. Make sure it's tight in the back. All right, that ought to hold that on there. So we'll get our other cover. We'll get the gasket put on it, bring it over, and yeah, have at it. Right, so we have our gasket on here, all doped up there. We're gonna put this on. I did double check. Our marks are lined up the way we need them to be. We got our wire in there. We torqued that down to 40 pounds, and everything seems to be good and in good order there. So we're going to put this on here. Now we do have 2 dowel pins, metal pins here, that help with alignment of this thing. And we line them both up. Give it a little tap. And we put our bolts in. Now we have this special bolt here. It has a special plate on it. This hooks onto the spring for the throttle return off of the injector pump. So we make sure we put that one up here. That is specifically where it goes. We'll put these things in here. We'll finger tighten these. One thing the manual did say is you can install the crank on there. That helps align everything as you're putting it back together, which I don't really understand why you have to do that, given the fact that you have these 2 dowel pins that aren't going to allow it to move anyway. But that was one thing that the book said. I suppose if you didn't have the dowel pins, you could do that. Hopefully this seals up any leaks we might have. Which was the whole point of doing this. And we have our little bolts right here. Bolts in down here. So we do have our crank. Feels pretty good. Remove that so I can get to the bolts. We're going to start with 5 pounds. All the way around. We're going every other bolt. Like so. Okay. That's all there is to it. All righty. Then we'll finish torquing this stuff down, and then that'll be it for the cover and the seal, and it's just be a matter of putting the pulley system back on there, and pretty good. Now we do have a felt washer that fits on the back of this, like so. Originally we did not have this on the 880. I don't know why they have it on here now necessarily. My guess is it's to, keep dirt out. So I did put a little bit of oil on there. And then we're just going to line this up. Push it in there, like so. We have an O-ring is in place. Put our bolt on here. It does get a bit of oil through that spline. When I took this apart a few days ago, that had a little bit of oil in there. It wasn't like when you pulled it apart, it didn't run out of there. It wasn't like settled in there, but there was a bit of it in there. Okay. this gets torqued to 90 foot-pounds. Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? We'll wrap this around here. Let's pull this down. Hope this belt holds. That's 50. Take him on up to 70. $70. Whew. Really, 90? I'll go for the full 90 here. Going for the full 90. All right, here we go. Oh, jeez. There we go. All right, 90 pounds. Well, that's pretty much it for that crankshaft pulley. All right, that's pretty much it for me too. Woo! So, hey, I hope this video, you found it informative. I hope it's been helpful and useful to you. A lot of information in there. This is, you know, how I changed the seals on the front of the old David Brown AD3. As always, appreciate you guys tuning into the channel. Appreciate the comments. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That helps us to grow and put together more of these videos. And we will see you all in the next one.